Okay, so first we're going to start off with the thoracic vertebrae. So we're going to start off with T2 as our guide. So we're going to find the inferior angles of the scapula. So we can work in here, work medially, and you're going to find T2, the spinous process of T2, and its transverse processes, which are here. And if you work right above that, you're going to find T1 and its transverse processes. Below that, it's going to be T3, transverse processes, T4, transverse processes, T5, transverse processes, T6, transverse processes, and then T7, we're going to find the inferior angle of the scapula. So if we go down here and then work medially, you're going to find T7, the spinous process of T7, as well as its transverse processes. And we can work down the same way that we did from T2 to T7. We can work down and find T8 and its transverse processes, T9, T10, T11, and then we could find T12 like that, but that's going to be in line with the last rib, so you can find the 12th rib. That's going to work all the way to T12, which is going to be right around here. Now, in order to find L4, we're going to find where the iliac crest is, and it's going to be right in line with that. So it's going to be right over here, and its transverse processes again, and then we can also work our way back up to L3, and its transverse processes, L2, and then L1, and then we can also work down to the sacrum, and we can find S2 by finding the posterior superior iliac spine. So we're going to follow that all the way down into here, and you're going to find the posterior superior iliac spine, and then we work in a little bit more right up here. You can also find the SI joint right in here. So next, I'm going to palpate your ribs. So I guess, yeah, you can stand to the side. Here, lift up your arms. Yeah. Okay. So we can work backwards and find the last rib, which is going to be the 12th rib. It's going to be right in here. And then we can work upwards. So we have 12, 11, 10, 10, and then 9, 8, 7, 6, and then 5, which is going to be right in line with the bottom portion of the body of your sternum. So you can put your arm down and then face forward. We're going to go over the sternum now. So we have the sternal notch, which is going to be right in here, as well as the manubrium, which is going to be here, and then the body of the sternum, which is going to be here, and then the xiphoid process, which I don't want to hurt you today, but it's going to be right, I want to say underneath, inferior to the body of the sternum. So it's going to be that pointy part right in the end. Okay, and next, I believe we can do the pelvis. So I guess I already showed this before, but we have the iliac crest, which is going to be right in here, and then turn. And then we have, all the way, yeah. And then again, if we follow that down, you can find the posterior superior iliac spine, and then I have you turn all the way forward. We can follow it forward into the anterior superior iliac spine. So it's going to be right there on you. Okay. And next we can move on to ligaments. So we can start off with the anterior longitudinal ligament. So this is going to go all the way down on the anterior portion of the vertebrae. So like it would be in the front of the body, but can't really palpate that. And then there's also the posterior longitudinal ligament, and that's going to form a wall for the spinal column. So again, that's going to go down here, and that's going to be inside of the vertebral foramen. And then we also have the ligamentum nuchae, so that's going to be on the posterior aspect of inside the vertebral foramen, and that's going to run down your vertebrae as well. And then there's also the supraspinous ligaments, which are just going to connect each spinous process, like so. And then on the back, we also have the thoracolumbar fascia, which is going to go like this, back here. I'm going to have you turn. And then we have the, completely forward. And then we have the linea alba. So that's just going to follow right on your stomach here. And then we also have the intervertebral discs, which are just going to be discs in between each of the vertebrae. Okay, you're all set to turn. And I believe we are all set to move on to the muscles. Oh, we didn't do joints. So for the joints, you have the facet joints, which is going to be, between each vertebrae of the spine, and that's going to do flexion, extension, lateral flexion, as well as rotation. And then the sacroiliac joints are synovial syndesmosis joints, so they don't really have much movement, but they are going to be down here, as I pointed out earlier. So I guess you can face forward now, and we can front up more so you can see better. Okay, so now we're going to move on to muscles. Okay, so next we're going to move on to the muscles, as I was saying before. So first we have the rectus abdominis, so that's going to originate at the pubic symphysis, which I will not, and then next, it's going to insert at the ribs 5 through 7. So again, 7 is going to be in line with the xiphoid process, so we can find that. That's going to be here. And it's also going to insert at the sternum as well. And that's going to do trunk flexion. So you can put your arm down. And next we're going to do internal oblique. So that's going to originate at the anterior iliac crest over here, as well as the thoracolumbar fascia. You can turn back around. And it is going to insert at ribs 9 through 12. So it's going to be, you can find the last rib over here, which is going to be rib 12, and work our way up to 9. And it's going to insert at the linea alba, which is going to be here. So next we can move on to external oblique. And you can keep your arm up because I'm going back to your ribs. So that's going to originate at ribs 5 through 12. So we can find, again, rib 7, and then count our way up. So we have 5, which is going to be right around here, as well as the last rib, which is going to be down here. And it's going to insert at the iliac crest, as well as the linea alba and the pubic symphysis. And that's going to do trunk flexion, lateral flexion, and rotation. Next, we can move on to the transverse abdominis, which is going to be the inner aspect of the last 6 ribs. So we can find rib 12, right in here, and work our way up to rib 6. So we can go all the way up to here. And it's going to insert at the outer edge of the middle half, the iliac crest. So it'll be in there. So we can find the iliac crest, and it's going to be the middle half, which is going to be inside. Then next we have the quadratus lumborum. So again, that's going to originate at the iliac crest, and it's going to insert at the last rib, as well as, I'm going to have you turn, as well as L1 through L4. So again, we can find L4, which is going to be right in line with your iliac crest, and it's going to insert on these transverse processes here. So we can go from L4 all the way up to L1. I'm just going to insert there, and that's going to be doing hip elevation, I believe, and trunk extension and lateral trunk flexion. Okay. and then I'm going to have you stay facing the back. So next we have the erector spinae muscles. And so this is going to be from most medial to most lateral. It's going to start off with the spinalis, which is going to be most medial. Then the longissimus, which is going to be in the middle. And then the most lateral is the iliocostalis, which is going to be the most lateral. And those are going to do trunk extension. And that's it.